Makhachev next, right? In Perth? Let's go. Cheers, Dana. Thanks, Hunter. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Do you think we're going to see that happen in Perth? Maybe get revenge for Volk in Perth?
I think it makes sense. You know, there's a bit of history in Perth. I know Makhachev, I think he had a good time in Perth last time, so why not? Let's do it again. I think the Perth crowd went absolutely crazy last time, and I think they would blow the roof off if there was a hometown boy being the champ.
I don't think so.
He said, I'm not leaving Montreal without that belt. does that mean he lives in Montreal now? Like, you know what I mean?
For Bilal, you know, my heart goes out to him. Yeah. He's a warrior, and you know, hopefully he'll come back and do well in his next fight, and let's see what happens. But again, you know, like you and I kind of alluded to, he didn't fight his normal fight when he fought Leon Edwards. And
after a thrilling encounter at UFC 315 between Jack Della Maddalena and Belal Muhammad, Dana White is expected to announce a fight between Islam Makhachev and JDM very soon. Before this fight, Ilia Topuria already revealed that the winner of UFC 315 will decide who he and Islam Makhachev will fight next. According to reports, if Belal had won, Islam wouldn't move up and fought Ilia Topuria, but now he will fight Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight title.
Y que será en Las Vegas el 28 de junio, y es que todavía no sabes contra quién vas a pelear.
No, que es Islam y es Charles.
Dana White also confirmed that news and said that the winner of Belal versus JDM would make things clear about the next title fights in both divisions.
For Dana, Ilia Topuria did an interview a few minutes ago where he said the winner of this fight is going to determine whether he fights Islam Makhachev or Charles Oliveira on International Fight Week. Can you confirm that that's the stakes attached to this main event too?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts right now, and yeah, that's pretty accurate.
After the fight, Jack Della Maddalena was seen having a phone call with Dana White and Hunter where they were talking about his next fight with Islam Makhachev. Dana White said he would figure out this fight very soon as JDM was hopeful to fight in Perth.
Makhachev next, right? In Perth? Let's go. Cheers, Dana. Thanks, Hunter. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Legends. Cheers, guys.
Save the welterweight division.
Yeah. Save the division. Save it.
Jack Della Maddalena is ready to fight Islam Makhachev as he seeks to avenge his fellow Australian Alexander Volkanovski. He called the potential matchup a beautiful challenge, acknowledged Islam as the current #1 pound-for-pound fighter, and said he would love the opportunity to get revenge for Volk.
They said that Islam Makhachev would get the title shot up at 170 if you won this belt tonight. What do you think about that?
I think it's a beautiful challenge, you know, he's pound for pound #1.
However, Islam Makhachev wasn't impressed with Jack Della Maddalena's comments and dismissed his comparisons with Volkanovski. Islam made it clear that the new welterweight champion JDM isn't on the same level. Islam Makhachev warned that if he and Jack Della Maddalena fought, he would expose the clear gap in their skill levels. He also hinted that Jack's reign as champion would be short-lived, telling him to keep the belt ready. Islam Makhachev said, "You are not Volk. I will show you a different level. Keep my belt clean." Islam Makhachev also dropped a training video teasing the start of his fight camp and hinting that a bout announcement is coming soon. Meanwhile, Jack Della Maddalena also responded to Islam Makhachev and challenged him to come and get the welterweight belt from him inside the cage.
Islam's already tweeted at you a few times, and like the most recent one, he says, "You're not Volk. I'll show you there at different levels. Keep my belt clean." Do you have any response to Islam?
No, come get it. Come get it.
Moreover, Jack Della Maddalena's coach shared a story from 10 years ago, revealing that he had advised someone to bet on Jack becoming a world champion in the future. He said, "I sent a message to somebody 10 years ago saying, if you've got a couple of bucks, put them on JDM to be world champ in 10 years' time. And here we are." His coach expressed that he had believed in Jack's potential from the moment they met.
I think I sent someone a message 10 years ago saying, if you've got a couple of bucks, put them on JDM to be world champ in 10 years' time. And here we are. It's unbelievable. I've known since I met Jack that he was going to be the best in the world. I've been in this sport for 30 years and I've never seen anyone like him before.
Meanwhile, the MMA community was amazed to witness a thrilling matchup between Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 315, where Belal lost his undisputed belt. Robert Whitaker believes that Belal Muhammad's decision to strike with Jack Della Maddalena for the first 3 rounds ultimately led to his defeat. He expected Belal to rely more on takedowns, but feels that Belal may have been trying to make a statement by standing and trading punches with Jack. Whitaker expressed that if this was indeed Belal's strategy, it was a misguided one, calling it ridiculous in hindsight.
I expected more takedowns. Okay, now it's easy for me to say on the outside. Okay,
sure.
we can look in and say, oh, well, I don't know how he was feeling, or what had happened to him during the fight. I don't know how he felt, but from the outside, was it the 3rd or 4th round, when he mixed in his striking and his shots.
Yeah.
When he mixed in the strikings to bring Jack onto it, to mix into his shots, they were clean every time.
Yeah.
Every time. I think his only 2 takedowns, more or less, were from the open mat, drawing Jack into it, sort of thing. Now, why didn't we see more of that? You know, I can't help but feel like Belal was trying to make a point striking with Jack for the first 3 rounds.
He was, I think so.
And if that's the case, that is ridiculous.
Big mistake, right? Like,
yeah.
Robert Whitaker further took a funny jab at Belal Muhammad after his loss to Jack Della Maddalena, referencing Belal's pre-fight claim about not leaving Montreal without the belt. Whitaker humorously questioned if that meant Belal had made Montreal his permanent home.
I don't think so.
He said, "I'm not leaving Montreal without that belt." Does that mean he lives in Montreal now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, big change.
Far out, Rob.
Different winters there, dude. You know what I mean? So you gotta be careful with what you say, right?
Merab Dvalishvili expressed his delight to witness such an epic fight. He expressed his thoughts on his X account, saying, "What a great fight. Wow, Jack Della Maddalena. Congratulations." Michael Bisping congratulated both fighters and wrote, "Insane fight. Congrats to both men." Renato Moicano was impressed with Thai fight and said, "What a fucking fight." Dricus du Plessis mocked Belal Muhammad by mentioning him and saying, "Belal Muhammad, well done. Just kidding." Alexander Volkanovski was happy for his countrymen and wrote, "You gotta be Jack." Caio Borralho learned 2 important lessons from this fight and said, "I have 2 facts after this night of UFC 315. Belal can strike. Imavov is still running." Randy Brown was also impressed with the efforts of both fighters and wrote, "One of the best welterweight championship fights ever. Bravo, gentlemen." Terrence McKinney also shared his thoughts about this epic showdown. He said, "This fight was insane respect to both man and new. Belal does got hands surprised us all." Former UFC champion Jamahal Hill said, "Incredible fight." Jamahal Hill further explained the epic showdown and called it Fight of the Year. He added, "Gutted for my brother, but wow, that was Fight of the Year. Congrats to JDM." Derek Brunson earlier predicted that Belal would win at UFC and said he always had a doubt that we might not see Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title. He tweeted, "Wow, I was wrong. Deep down I just knew we wouldn't get Islam versus Topuria, damn." Meanwhile, Ariel Helwani speculated that the UFC might still find a way to make the fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev happen. While the general expectation seems to be that Ilia will face Charles Oliveira next, Helwani pointed out that a photo of UFC executive Hunter Campbell in Dagestan added some intrigue. He suggested that it's possible the UFC could set up a deal where Islam fights once more, regardless of the outcome, with the opportunity to move up to welterweight afterward. Helwani emphasized that he wouldn't rule out this possibility just yet, noting that he doesn't believe the UFC was entirely sold on Islam.
I'm not putting it past the UFC that, you know, they don't some way somehow figure out doing Ilya versus Islam. I know the general consensus seems to be that it is now going to be Ilya versus Charles, but we did see the photo of Hunter Campbell in Dagestan. I'm not putting it past them just yet. I'm not putting it past them that even Islam himself is throwing us a curveball. You know, maybe the deal is, hey, fight this last fight and then win, lose, or draw, you get to move up to 170. Yeah. I'm not going to put it past them just yet. So I'm not going to write that. But overall, to answer the question, I would say yes, because I don't think they were enamored with the idea of him being champion.
The featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski expressed his mixed feelings about Belal Muhammad. While he acknowledged that Belal has become a figure that people love to hate, including himself, Volkanovski admitted that he had tried to understand why Belal is so disliked. He mentioned feeling bad for Belal at times, believing he had been unfairly treated, but also shared that despite his efforts to give him the benefit of the doubt, he couldn't quite get on board with him. Volkanovski emphasized that he generally gets along with everyone, but with Belal, it just hasn't clicked.
Belal's great. Like, you know, everyone loves to hate him, including myself. You know
why
what I mean?
is he so hated?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I've tried. I feel bad because I felt like he's been hard done by.
Yeah.
But then he does stuff, and then I've tried. I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I get along with everybody, and I just can't, and then we seem to clash.
On the other hand, things are looking great for Islam versus JDM fight. After his win at UFC 315, Jack Della Maddalena also recognized that there are many tough contenders in the division, but said if Islam Makhachev steps up, he absolutely deserves the opportunity. He praised Islam as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters and admitted it would be a dream matchup, especially for his first title defense.
The next big fight could be Islam Makhachev. You spoke about it briefly. Your early thoughts on that potential matchup, because now everybody's going to want to know what's next as you look forward.
I mean, obviously the welterweight has a lot of good challenges, but I think if someone like Islam wants to step up, you've got to give him the shot. You know, pound for pound, one of the best, and it would be a dream to fight one of the best pound for pound guys in the world with my first defense.
Jack Della Maddalena acknowledged Islam Makhachev as one of the top pound for pound fighters and said it would be an honor to face him. He added that defeating Islam would be a huge accomplishment and could elevate him to pound for pound #1.
As champion now, the UFC says Islam Makhachev is next. What's your message for Islam?
I mean, he's one of the best pound for pound #1, so it'll be a pleasure to take him out and become pound for pound myself.
Jack Della Maddalena also revealed that he wants to defend his title in Australia. He said a fight with Islam Makhachev in Perth would make perfect sense, given Islam's past success there and the electric crowd. He noted that stepping in as the hometown hero would create an incredible atmosphere, and when asked about his readiness, Jack confidently replied, "Where is it? Let's go."
Do you think we're going to see that happen in Perth? Maybe get revenge for Volk in Perth?
I think it makes sense. You know, there's a bit of history in Perth. I know Makhachev, I think he had a good time in Perth last time, so why not? Let's do it again. I think the Perth crowd went absolutely crazy last time, and I think they would blow the roof off if there was a hometown boy being the champ.
Hometown boy up against Islam. How does the body feel? Do you think you'd be ready to go if it comes to you facing Islam in Perth?
Yeah, I'd be ready to go right now. Where is he?
Let's go, let's go.
However, Islam Makhachev's coach Javier Mendez rejects the idea of fighting in Australia. Mendez talked about the fatigue of long trips, as Australia is probably more than 33 hours away from Dagestan. He hopes that the UFC allows the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world, Islam Makhachev, to make the decision about where he wants to fight.
I think how far is Australia from here to from Dubai to Australia? Or Russia, Dagestan. What is it? Is that a pretty good trip?
Yeah, it's a pretty good trip. We're looking from Russia. We're looking at 34 hours and 30 minutes.
It's a no. It's a no. I don't look.
It's gonna have to be a really
that.
nice first-class flight for the entire team, right? If that happens.
Yeah, who cares? If they decide to make us do that, I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. But you know, let's hope that pound for pound #1 gets to make a decision.
Javier Mendez further talked about Islam moving to the 170 weight class. He said that if the UFC grants Islam Makhachev a shot at the welterweight title, it would be a legacy-defining moment for him. Mendez explained that Islam always wanted to go for the welterweight belt if it became available, specifically if Belal Muhammad wasn't in the picture. Now that Belal is out, Mendez said it would be incredible if the UFC approved the fight, especially if if it's held in a location favorable to their team. However, he emphasized that all final decisions are made by Islam's management team, Ali Abdelaziz and Rizvan Magomedov, who he praised for doing an excellent job.
If they grant that to Islam, if that's what the UFC decides to do, it would be a legacy fight for Islam, because his goal was to fight for that welterweight title if it was available, meaning Belal wasn't there. But now that Belal's not there, if the UFC grants him that would be unbelievable, and even more unbelievable if it grants him that fight in a favorable place for us, but who knows? Let's see what they come up with. Like I said in the past, I've never been involved in any of the discussions when it comes to any of Khabib's fights or Khabib's fighters. It's always been Ali and Rizvan. They do an unbelievable job.
Javier Mendez, coach of Islam Makhachev, addressed whether Jack Della Maddalena poses a tougher challenge than Ilia Topuria. He said it's difficult to make that comparison, but stressed that Islam is focused on facing Jack. For Mendez, the most important thing is that it's the fight Islam wants. He expressed full confidence in Islam's all-around skill set and relentless work ethic, believing he's prepared to dominate anyone who stands across from him.
How do you feel about this version of JDM as a challenge for Islam? Do you feel like he's a harder challenge than an Ilia Topuria at lightweight?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So
Javier Mendez stated that Islam Makhachev is on a completely different level than anyone Jack Della Maddalena has faced. He believes the matchup would be exciting and expects Islam to deliver a top-tier performance. Mendez also pointed out that moving to welterweight won't be an issue for Islam, as he'll be a well-sized and competitive force in the division.
Islam's a whole different animal than the Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, the weight is not super big for him either. So he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. He'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
Javier Mendez further expressed confidence in Islam's ability to both outstrike and take down Jack Della Maddalena. While he believes Islam can succeed in striking exchanges, he feels it may not be the wisest strategy. Mendez pointed out that the more effective approach could be to focus on takedowns, similar to what he felt Belal Muhammad should have done in his fight. He emphasized that Islam would likely adopt this strategy, recognizing it as the smarter game plan.
He will do what we ask him to do, so we will dictate the fight based on how well he's doing or not doing, and he can do it all. So can he take Jack down? Absolutely, he can take him down. Can he outstrike Jack? Absolutely, he can outstrike him. But is it wise to try to outstrike him? Like I feel we can. I don't know. It may not be. It may be a better deal to do what Belal should have done and what he didn't do. And that's something I know that Islam will do, because he's never not listened to us as his corner, his coaches. He's always listened to all of us. He is the most disciplined, well-trained, fighter I've ever had in that department. He's never not done what Khabib or I ever told him to do. Never.
So, the stage is officially set, and Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena is happening. With Dana White almost confirming the blockbuster showdown, two of the sport's most dangerous fighters are now on a collision course. Makhachev is chasing double champ status, while JDM looks to defend his crown against the pound-for-pound king. Subscribe to our channel to get more updates about this mega fight.